The demand. The night sky over Earth was calm, filled with stars as usual. People in every country were busy with their normal lives, some watching television, some working late, some sleeping peacefully. No one expected the darkness to be broken. No one expected the voice that would soon speak to all of humanity. Without warning, every screen on the planet flickered. Phones, televisions, computers, even digital billboards on city streets turned black. Then, a strange glow appeared. A deep sound filled the air like thunder rolling across the world, but there was no storm. The sound grew louder until it became a voice. It was not human. The voice was cold, metallic, and filled with power. It spoke in every language at once, as if it knew how to reach every mind. People of Earth, you are weak. You are divided. You will not survive us. Surrender, or be destroyed. People screamed. Some dropped to their knees in fear. Others shouted in anger, refusing to believe what they heard. Governments scrambled to understand what was happening. But before leaders could respond, the message continued. We are the Cathari. We have crossed galaxies. We conquer worlds. You are nothing to us. Your armies, your weapons, your courage, it is dust. You will kneel, or you will burn. On the EU screens, an image appeared. Enormous ships, black and sharp like knives, hovering in space. They were so large they made Earth satellites look like toys. Their hulls glowed with strange blue energy. In every home, in every city, people stared in silence. Some whispered prayers. Others clenched their fists. A mother covered her child's eyes. A soldier watching from his base whispered, "My God." The voice gave one final warning. You have 7 days. Prepare your surrender. On the 7th day, we arrive. The screens went dark. The world was silent for several seconds, as if time itself had stopped. Then the chaos began. In the White House, in the Kremlin, in Beijing, in New Delhi, in every capital of the world, leaders shouted at each other across secure lines. Was this real? Was it some kind of trick? But satellites confirmed it within hours. The alien fleet was real. Thousands of ships were moving toward Earth at impossible speed. Panic spread like wildfire. News anchors shouted about the end of the world. Social media exploded with fear and rumors. Some said surrender was the only option. Others demanded war. Some even worshipped the aliens, calling them gods. But deep underground in secret bunkers, generals and scientists gathered. They had seen the message. They knew the danger. And they knew surrender meant slavery. One general, his face hard and cold, slammed his fist on the table. They want us to kneel? Never. Humanity was not made to kneel. His words were heavy, but around the table, men and women looked at each other with doubt. Could humanity truly fight an enemy that came from the stars? Could rifles and tanks stop ships that crossed galaxies? Ordinary people also struggled with fear. In Tokyo, a boy stared at the stars, whispering, "Will they destroy us?" In Brazil, a family prayed for safety. In London, crowds gathered in the streets, demanding answers from their government. But not everyone was afraid. Some were angry. Some were ready. In a small town in America, an old veteran looked at the night sky and said, "Let them come. They'll learn what Earth is made of." In Africa, resistance groups swore they would never surrender to anyone, not alien, not human. In space agencies, scientists began pulling out secret projects hidden from the public. Humanity was frightened, yes, but fear could also turn into strength. As the days passed, tension grew. Every news channel showed images of the alien fleet moving closer. The countdown had begun. 6 days, 5 days, 4. Religious groups declared the end of the world. Conspiracy theorists claimed governments had invited the aliens. Protesters filled the streets. At the same time, armies began to mobilize. Jets lined the runways. Submarines went silent in the oceans. Hidden bases prepared weapons no one had seen before. On the 3rd day, an alien probe entered Earth's atmosphere. It was massive, the size of a skyscraper, glowing with energy. The world watched as fighter jets scrambled to intercept it. Missiles struck the probe, explosions lit the sky, but when the smoke cleared, the alien machine was unharmed. With a single beam of blue light, the probe destroyed the jets in seconds. The message was clear. Resistance was hopeless. Fear grew. But among the ashes of defeat, something else was born. In a hidden military base, a young scientist named Dr. Rachel Carter studied the remains of the destroyed jets. She whispered to herself, "There must be a way. Every weapon has a weakness. We just need to find theirs." Around her, soldiers prepared for war. They knew most of them would not survive, but surrender was not in their hearts. On the seventh day, the sky changed. Massive shadows spread across Earth as the alien fleet arrived. Their ships blocked out the sun. Oceans trembled under their weight. Cities fell silent as people looked up in terror. The alien voice returned, louder than ever, shaking every building, every heart. "People of Earth, time is over. Kneel or be erased." The world held its breath. Leaders prepared their answers. Soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons. Families embraced, unsure if tomorrow would come. And then from a single underground base, a human voice answered. It was carried across, the airwaves translated into every language, broadcast to the entire planet. "We are humanity. We do not kneel." The war for Earth had begun. The first strike, the seventh day, had ended. Humanity had spoken. "We do not kneel." But the aliens, the Cathari, were not impressed. At first, the sky was quiet. Cities held their breath. Families gathered near radios, televisions, and phones, waiting for the enemy's reply. Soldiers stood on rooftops, scanning the horizon. For one long hour, nothing happened. Some dared to hope that maybe the Cathari would leave. Then the sky burned. From orbit, alien ships released fire. Not flames like human weapons, but streams of blue-white energy that fell like rivers of light. They struck the world's greatest cities: New York, Beijing, Moscow, Paris. Skyscrapers crumbled into dust. Bridges melted. Millions screamed as their homes vanished in seconds. The first strike had begun. In New York, the ground shook like an earthquake. People ran through the streets as fire swallowed the sky. A woman held her child and screamed for help, but there was no help. In Beijing, a tower of steel folded in half as if it were made of paper. In Moscow, frozen streets turned into oceans of glass. It was not war, it was slaughter. Human jets scrambled to fight back. Squadrons launched from every base. Their missiles lit the sky, hundreds at a time. Explosions flashed against the alien ships. For one moment, soldiers cheered, but the cheers died quickly. The missiles did nothing. The alien shields shimmered like water, absorbing every strike. Then the ships fired back. Beams of energy sliced through the clouds. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds. On the ground, commanders shouted into radios, begging their pilots to retreat. But retreat was impossible. The sky itself was death. Around the world, panic exploded. Governments considered surrender. Crowds stormed government buildings, begging leaders to save them. But the Cathari had made their message clear. Surrender meant slavery, not safety. In a bunker deep beneath London, Prime Minister Davis slammed his hands on the table. "They want us broken. They want us to give up before the war even begins." He looked around the room, his voice shaking but fierce. "But we are not broken. Not yet." Meanwhile, in a hidden desert base in Nevada, a small miracle was about to happen. A squadron of human jets had been chasing one of the smaller alien craft, a scout ship that flew lower than the rest. Its shields flickered, weaker than the massive warships in orbit. The jets attacked wave after wave. Most were destroyed, but one missile slipped through. It struck the scout ship's wing. For the first time, alien metal burned. The ship crashed into the desert with a thunderous explosion. Flames rose high into the night. The surviving pilot screamed into his radio, "We got one! We actually got one down!" It was humanity's first victory. Tiny, fragile, but real. Soldiers rushed to the crash site. The wrecked alien ship hissed with blue smoke. Sparks jumped from broken wires that looked like veins of light. The soldiers pointed their rifles at the shattered cockpit. Inside lay the body of an alien. The Cathari was tall, armored, and strange. Its skin was gray and rough, its eyes black and lidless. Breathing tubes connected its body to the suit. When the tubes broke, the alien gasped, choking in Earth's atmosphere. With one final hiss, it fell still. A soldier whispered, "They bleed. They can die." News of the downed ship spread like fire. Across the world, people cheered. For the first time since the invasion began, hope flickered. If one ship could fall, maybe more could too. But the aliens were not blind. From orbit, their fleet noticed the crash. In fury, they unleashed another wave of destruction. Cities that still stood, Cairo, Rio, Tokyo, were bombarded. Entire districts vanished in walls of light. The Cathari wanted to crush hope before it grew. Yet it was too late. The seed of resistance had been planted. In a secret lab beneath the desert, scientists gathered around the wrecked alien craft. Among them was Dr. Rachel Carter, the young scientist who had promised to find a weakness. Her hands trembled as she touched the alien metal. "This is it," she whispered. "Their technology, their secrets. We have a chance." Engineers and soldiers began dismantling the wreck, piece by piece. Every wire, every weapon, every symbol carved into the alien hull was studied. For the first time, humanity had more than fear. They had knowledge. But outside the lab, the world was still burning. Entire nations fell silent as communication lines collapsed. Refugees flooded across borders. Fields and factories were abandoned, and high above, the alien fleet moved like vultures. They circled the planet, waiting for humanity to collapse. In the ruins of Paris, a small group of survivors hid in the subway tunnels. One of them, a young girl, drew pictures on the wall with chalk. She drew human soldiers standing against towering alien ships. Her father asked, "What are you drawing?" She smiled sadly. "I'm drawing us winning." Even in the ashes, hope refused to die. The Cathari believed their first strike would break humanity. They believed fear would force surrender. But instead, the fire of resistance began to spread. Around the world, whispers grew louder. "We can fight. We can win." And in the dark of space, the alien commander watched Earth carefully. Its black eyes narrowed as it hissed in its strange language. "These humans, they are different." The war was only beginning. Learning the enemy. The alien first strike had left the world in ruins. Cities burned. Millions were dead. Entire nations had fallen silent. But in the middle of fear, humanity had done the impossible. Downed one alien scout ship. That wreckage became a treasure. Deep in a hidden desert base, soldiers and scientists gathered around the alien remains. Sparks still danced across the broken hull, glowing like veins of lightning. The craft was smaller than the massive warships in orbit, but it carried secrets. Secrets humanity desperately needed. Dr. Rachel Carter stood over the twisted metal. With trembling hands, her voice was quiet but firm. "If we can understand this, if we can learn how they think, how they fight, we may survive." The soldiers guarding the wreck said nothing. They had seen too much fire, too much death. They only hoped the scientists were right. The first discovery came quickly. When they opened the cockpit, they found the alien pilot's body. The Cathari's armor was sleek, covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly. But when the breathing tubes broke, the creature had gasped for air and died within minutes. Rachel leaned close, studying the alien's skin. "They can't survive in our atmosphere for long," she whispered. "They need machines to breathe here." It was small, but it was a weakness. Days passed. As the world mourned its dead, the scientists worked without rest. They cut wires, scanned circuits, and pulled apart alien weapons. The more they studied, the more they realized something shocking. The Cathari were not gods. They were not invincible. Yes, their technology was thousands of years ahead, but it had flaws. Their ships relied on a single power core. Their weapons depended on complex energy conduits, and most important of all, their fleets were controlled by massive command ships. Without those command ships, the smaller vessels lost coordination. Rachel stared at the diagrams, her heart pounding. They're centralized. Break the head and the body falls apart. Meanwhile, humanity's armies struggled to hold what little ground remained. Soldiers fought in broken cities, ambushing alien patrols. Resistance groups rose from the rubble, armed with whatever they could find. Guns, explosives, even stolen alien scraps. In the tunnels beneath ruined Moscow, a band of fighters used captured alien rifles. They were heavy and strange, glowing, with blue light, but deadly. With them, they ambushed a Qatari patrol, proving that alien weapons could be turned against their masters. Word spread quickly. We can use their own tools against them. But the aliens were not blind. From their command ships in orbit, they watched humanity with cold, calculating eyes. To the Qatari, humans were primitive, weak, chaotic. Yet something felt wrong. The humans did not surrender. They fought in every corner, every street, every ruined city. The alien commander hissed to its advisors, "These creatures should be broken. Instead, they grow stronger." Why? No one had an answer. Back in the desert base, the scientists made another terrifying discovery. The alien ship's navigation system carried records, star charts, routes, and logs. The Qatari had conquered countless worlds before Earth. Dozens of civilizations had been erased. None had survived. Rachel's stomach twisted as she stared at the maps. Entire star systems marked with a single word: conquered. "This is what they do," she whispered. "This is all they do. They erase, they consume, and no one has ever stopped them." A silence filled the room. The weight of history pressed down on every soul. Humanity was not fighting for freedom alone. They were fighting to be the first world to ever resist the Qatari. Still, a spark of hope remained. By analyzing the wreckage, Rachel and her team discovered how the shields worked. The alien barriers could stop missiles and bullets, but they were not perfect. When overloaded with energy, even the shields flickered. That was how the human missile had slipped through. Rachel smiled for the first time in weeks. They can be broken. Not easily, not cheaply, but they can. Outside the lab, the war continued. Alien ships rained fire on Earth's last strongholds, but every day humans fought back harder. Resistance fighters hijacked alien drones. Engineers built crude weapons powered by stolen alien cores. Even children carried radios spreading coded messages across ruined cities. Humanity was learning. Humanity was adapting. One night, as Rachel stood alone with the alien wreck, she whispered to herself, "They thought we would kneel. They thought we would be like the others. But we are not like the others." Her eyes burned with determination. "We will be their first defeat." But the Qatari had plans of their own. In orbit, the alien commander gave a new order. If humanity would not kneel, then Earth's strongest fortress would burn. The target was chosen, the largest military base left on the planet, the heart of human resistance. The countdown began. Alien fleets shifted in formation, weapons charged with deadly light. The next strike was coming, and this time the Qatari would bring everything they had. The hidden war. The alien fleet circled Earth like wolves around wounded prey. Their command ships hung in the sky, black and sharp, casting shadows over oceans and continents. The first strike had shattered cities. Millions were dead. Yet humanity still stood. The Qatari could not understand it. On every world they had conquered, fear had been enough. But on Earth, fear had turned into fire, and that fire spread into the shadows. Guerrilla sparks. Across the ruins. Resistance. Groups began to rise. They were not armies in shining armor. They were survivors. Soldiers who had lost their bases, farmers who had lost their fields, children who had lost their homes. With nothing left to lose, they fought back. In the wreckage of Paris, fighters hid in subway tunnels. They rigged traps with stolen alien power cells, turning them into bombs. At night, they climbed from the tunnels and struck alien patrols, then vanished back into the dark. In the mountains of Afghanistan, tribes joined together for the first time in generations. They used the narrow passes as ambush points, burying alien war machines under avalanches of rock and fire. In the jungles of South America, rebels melted into the trees. They carried radio transmitters built from scrap, whispering coded messages that spread hope across the continent. Everywhere, the Cathari felt the sting of human defiance. The codebreaker in a small village in Eastern Europe, a boy named Thomas carried an old radio his father had hidden away. One night, as alien ships rumbled across the sky, the radio crackled with strange noise. At first, Thomas thought it was static, but then he noticed patterns, repeated clicks and tones. The boy, fascinated, wrote the patterns down in chalk on the wall. Slowly, he realized it was a language, alien communication. When resistance fighters found him, Thomas showed them his chalkboard covered in symbols. They carried him to a hidden base. Scientists stared in disbelief. The boy had begun to break the alien code. For the first time, humanity could listen to the invaders' voices. The enemy weakness. In Nevada, Dr. Rachel Carter continued to study the wrecked alien scout ship. She and her team made progress slowly, but each discovery mattered. They had confirmed the alien weakness. The atmosphere strained them. Without armor and breathing systems, the Cathari could not last long on Earth's surface. Strong in the sky, Rachel whispered, but fragile on the ground. She passed her notes to military leaders. Guerrilla fighters were told, target their armor, break their suits, force them to breathe. Soon, resistance fighters carried sharpened blades and explosive darts, not to pierce alien shields, but to slice through the tubes on their armor. Battles turned savage and close. Humans dragged Cathari into the dirt, ripping away their masks. For the first time, alien screams filled the air. Alien fury, the Cathari commander was furious. Reports of ambushes, sabotage, and assassinations poured in. Entire patrols disappeared in cities they thought were broken. Supply drones were stolen. Alien weapons were turned against them. These humans fight like insects, the commander hissed. But insects can swarm, and swarms can kill. To crush the resistance, the Cathari began burning entire regions. Villages were turned to ash, forests to smoke, cities to glowing glass. But every time they destroyed one pocket of resistance, 3 more appeared elsewhere. Unity. Humanity had always been divided, by nations, by borders, by language. But under alien fire, divisions began to fade. In Africa, soldiers from different tribes fought shoulder to shoulder. In Europe, old enemies became allies in the underground tunnels. In Asia, monks and farmers carried rifles beside soldiers. For the first time in history, humanity began to act as one people, united by survival. In an old radio broadcast, a single message echoed across the world. We are not America or China or Russia or Africa. We are Earth. And we do not kneel. The word spread like wildfire. Even in broken cities, even in refugee camps, people repeated the phrase like a prayer. The decoded secret weeks into the hidden war, Thomas and the scientists finished breaking a critical code. The intercepted alien message revealed something shocking. The Cathari planned to strike Earth's last stronghold, the largest surviving military base hidden beneath a mountain range. If the base fell, humanity would lose its command center, its scientists, and its hope. Rachel Carter listened to the decoded message, her face pale. They know where we are. They're coming. The generals gathered. The decision was simple: fight to the last breath. Preparing for the storm inside the mountain base, soldiers checked their rifles. Engineers welded makeshift armor on tanks. Scientists loaded prototypes built from alien scraps. Unreliable, dangerous, but powerful. Rachel walked through the base watching young soldiers who looked barely old enough to fight. She wanted to tell them they would survive. But she couldn't lie. Instead, she whispered, "Make them bleed." Outside, The night sky glowed blue as alien ships descended. Cliffhanger. The ground shook as the first beams struck the mountain. Dust rained from the ceilings. Alarms screamed. The war had come to humanity's last fortress. And this time, the Cathari brought their full fury. The hidden war in the shadows was over. The open battle for Earth was about to begin. The turning point, the mountain fortress trembled under alien fire. Blue beams cut through the night, striking the cliffs with thunderous force. Inside the base, alarms screamed, lights flickered, and dust rained from the ceilings. Humanity's last stronghold was under siege. Soldiers scrambled to their posts. Tanks rolled out of underground hangars. Anti-air guns rose from hidden bunkers, their barrels glowing as they prepared to fire. Scientists rushed through corridors, carrying prototypes built from alien wreckage. Every man, woman, and child inside the base knew the truth. This was the battle that would decide Earth's future. The first assault, the Cathari ships descended like monsters from the sky. Their weapons glowed with deadly light. The first volley smashed into the outer defenses, tearing entire bunkers apart. Fire erupted from the mountainside, yet the humans did not run. The fortress answered with everything it had. Anti-air batteries thundered. Missiles launched in waves, streaking toward the alien fleet. Most missiles shattered uselessly against the enemy shields, but some slipped through, striking smaller ships. Explosions lit the sky. For the first time, the aliens hesitated. The prototype weapons deep inside the base, Dr. Rachel Carter oversaw the loading of new weapons, reverse-engineered from alien technology. They were crude, unstable, and dangerous, even to their users. But desperate times demanded desperate measures. The first weapon was the pulse cannon, built from salvaged alien cores. When fired, it released a surge of energy strong enough to overload alien shields. The second was the EMP Lance, a spear-like missile designed to disable alien machines. Rachel watched as soldiers mounted the prototypes onto trucks and aircraft. She whispered, "Please work, please." Moments later, the weapons roared into battle. Human resistance on the battlefield, soldiers fought with furious courage. When alien troops landed on the ground, humans charged them with rifles, grenades, even knives. Fighters aimed not at the aliens' armor, but at their breathing tubes, ripping them away to expose their fragile lungs. Alien screams echoed across the valley. The guerrilla lessons of the hidden war now became battlefield tactics. Teams of soldiers lured alien walkers into traps, collapsing tunnels beneath their feet. Snipers targeted alien officers, throwing enemy squads into chaos. Everywhere, humans refused to kneel. The sky battle. Above the fortress, jets and drones swarmed the alien fleet. At first, they were slaughtered, but then the pulse cannons fired. Brilliant bursts of blue energy overloaded an alien ship's shields. For one heartbeat, the vessel was naked. Human missiles struck, tearing through its hull. The ship exploded, crashing into the mountains with a roar. Soldiers on the ground cheered. For the first time in the war, a human weapon, built by human hands, had destroyed a major alien warship. The balance of fear shifted. The alien commander inside the command ship, the Cathari leader, stared at the battle. Its black eyes narrowed. For centuries, no world had ever resisted them this long. No species had ever forced them to hesitate. These humans, it hissed. They fight like nothing we have seen. An advisor urged retreat from the valley, but the commander slammed its clawed hand down. No, we will break them here, or burn with them. The turning point hours passed. Both sides bled. The fortress was scarred, its walls cracked, its defenders exhausted. The aliens pressed harder, pouring more troops into the fight. It seemed the end was near. Then the EMP Lance was launched. The missile streaked through the sky, glowing bright as a star. It struck the alien command ship with a thunderous crack. For an instant, the great vessel flickered like a dying flame. Its shields failed. Its weapons went dark. Every human gun, every missile, every cannon turned toward the helpless giant. The sky erupted in fire. The alien command ship broke apart, burning as it fell into the mountains below. The ground shook with its death. The Cathari fleet staggered, their coordination shattered. Smaller ships drifted without orders, their formations collapsing. Humanity had struck the head, and the body was falling. The captives, the fortress defenders, cheered. Scouts reported something extraordinary. A damaged alien shuttle had been captured intact. Inside was a wounded Cathari officer. Soldiers dragged the alien into the fortress, its armor cracked, its breathing mask hissing. The creature looked at its captors with hatred, but its voice was heavy with something new. Fear. You cannot win, it rasped. You will burn with us. But the soldiers only stared back in silence. They had seen the alien fleet retreating. They had seen victory with their own eyes. Aftermath when dawn rose over the mountains, smoke filled the sky. The fortress still stood, battered but alive. Human flags waved from the ramparts. Survivors wept, embracing each other. The Cathari had been beaten back, for the first time in their long history of conquest. The world listened as a single message was broadcast from the fortress, carried across every radio, every surviving screen. They can bleed, they can fall. Humanity fights on. Cliffhanger, but far above Earth, the surviving Cathari ships gathered. Their commander, enraged by defeat, ordered the unthinkable. From the depths of their armada, a new weapon was prepared. A world-killer bomb capable of burning an entire planet to ash. The aliens would not settle for conquest anymore. If they could not have Earth, they would destroy it. The countdown to humanity's final hour had begun. The desperation of the aliens. The fortress still smoked from battle. Mountains trembled with the wreckage of fallen alien ships. Humanity had done the impossible. They had defeated a command vessel of the Cathari, but victory brought no peace. Far above Earth, in the dark silence of space, the alien fleet gathered. Their commander, scarred by rage and humiliation, gave a new order. For the first time in centuries, the Cathari faced defiance. They would answer not with conquest, but with annihilation. A new weapon was prepared. It was not a simple bomb. It was a world killer. A weapon forged to turn oceans to steam, forests to ash, and cities to shadows. Once launched, there would be no Earth left to conquer. Only silence. The countdown began. The warning inside the mountain fortress. Dr. Rachel Carter and the scientists listened to the decoded transmissions. The alien codebreaker boy Thomas sat pale and trembling as he translated the message. They are building something huge, he whispered. Something to end us all. Rachel's heart froze. She read the calculations. The weapon would reach Earth in less than 3 days. Generals slammed fists against the table. Soldiers cursed under their breath. A grim silence filled the war room. Finally, one voice spoke. If this weapon lands, Earth dies. We have no choice. We must stop it in space. Humanity's desperate plan. Every remaining nation contributed what little strength they had. Old satellites were repurposed into bombs. Space shuttles, built for exploration, were armed with missiles. Engineers worked day and night welding alien scrap onto human ships. The plan was simple and suicidal. Launch a strike into orbit, meet the weapon before it entered the atmosphere, and destroy it at any cost. Rachel stood before the soldiers who would fly the mission. Most were young, faces tired but eyes fierce. She told them the truth. Many of you will not return. But if you succeed, humanity will live. If you fail, we all die. The soldiers did not flinch. They only nodded. The alien weapon in orbit, the Cathari guarded their superweapon like a crown jewel. It was massive, larger than any city on Earth. Its surface pulsed with blue light, as if a star had been captured and chained. The alien commander stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the weapon charge. Its voice was cold and final. These humans will not kneel, then let them burn with their world. Launch of the final mission at dawn, the skies over Earth roared with engines. Fleets of human aircraft, shuttles, and rockets lifted into the air. Crowds of refugees watched from broken cities, praying as they saw the last hope rise into the clouds. Rachel watched from the control room. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "God help them." The ships broke through the atmosphere and entered the black sea of space. For the first time, humanity carried the war beyond Earth. Battle in the stars. The Cathari fleet swarmed to intercept. Alien beams sliced through the void, tearing human ships apart. Explosions lit the stars like falling suns. Pilots screamed through. Radios before silence swallowed them, but humanity pressed forward. Crude missiles streaked toward alien vessels. Pulse cannons overloaded enemy shields. EMP lances struck hard, leaving warships drifting dead. The battle was chaos. Dozens of ships burning, colliding, scattering across the void, and at the center of it all loomed the world killer. Its energy core glowed brighter with each passing minute. Sacrifice, a squadron of human fighters, broke through enemy lines. They launched everything they had at the weapon's surface. Explosions rippled across its armor, but the weapon still pulsed, still charged. One pilot, his ship burning, made the final choice. "This is for Earth," he whispered, and drove his craft straight into the weapon's hull. The explosion tore open a section of armor, revealing the glowing core beneath. The sacrifice gave humanity a chance. The infiltration, Rachel's voice crackled through the radio. "The core is exposed. Hit it now before it stabilizes." A battered shuttle carrying a small strike team dove into the opening. Inside the alien superweapon, corridors glowed with strange blue veins. The humans fought their way through Cathari, guards blasting through doors, cutting down armored figures. Every step was paid in blood. Soldiers fell one by one, but the survivors pressed on. At last they reached the heart of the weapon, the energy core burning like a captive sun. The final gambit. The strike team placed explosives around the core. The countdown began. Alien forces surged into the chamber, firing beams of searing light. A captain, bleeding and broken, stayed behind to hold them off. "Go," he shouted. "Finish this." The others ran back to the shuttle. Behind them, the captain fired until his rifle clicked empty. When the aliens closed in, he smiled. "At least, we stood." The explosives detonated. The fall of the Kao, weapon from Earth. Millions watched the sky as a brilliant light blossomed in orbit. The world killer shuddered, cracked, and finally tore itself apart in a thunderous explosion. Debris rained down through the atmosphere, glowing like falling stars. Some pieces burned harmlessly. Others struck oceans with waves that shook the coasts. But the weapon was gone. Humanity had survived. Cliffhanger in the command ship. The alien leader raged. Its voice echoed like thunder. "They destroy what they do not understand. They choose death over surrender. These humans, they are not prey, they are a plague." The alien fleet withdrew, regrouping in the shadows of space. But the commander's promise was clear. If they will not kneel, we will scour their planet, until nothing remains. The war was not over. It was only reaching its darkest chapter. Victory beyond fear. The skies above Earth still burned with the ashes of the world killer. Humanity had survived destruction, but the war was far from over. In the black of space, the alien fleet circled like vultures. Their commander had sworn vengeance. Earth would not be spared. If the Cathari could not enslave humanity, they would grind the planet into silence. The people of Earth had no illusions. They were bruised, bleeding, and weary. But for the first time in history, they had done what no other world had managed. They had forced the Cathari to retreat, and now the final battle was coming. Humanity's last stand inside the mountain fortress. Leaders, soldiers, and scientists gathered for the last council. Maps and diagrams filled the war room. Everyone knew the truth. Humanity could not survive a long war. The aliens had more ships, more weapons, more experience. But the Cathari had one weakness: their dependence on command ships. Destroy the flagship and the entire fleet would fall into chaos. General Hayes stood at the center of the table, his voice iron. "We don't have the numbers. We don't have the firepower. But we have something they will never understand. We have the will to fight to the very end. Dr. Rachel Carter pointed at the schematics of the captured alien tech. We've built one final weapon. It can strike the core of their flagship, but someone will have to deliver it directly into their ship. There's no remote option. Everyone understood what that meant. It was a mission with no return. The fleet rises at dawn. The world watched as humanity's last fleet rose into the sky. Every surviving jet, shuttle, and bomber joined the armada. Old rockets, once built for exploration, were armed for war. Even civilian ships, refitted with weapons, joined the fight. Crowds gathered in ruined cities and refugee camps, cheering as the fleet broke through the clouds. It was not just an army. It was all of humanity rising together. Rachel whispered into her headset as the fleet crossed into space. This is not just a battle for Earth. This is a battle for every world they ever destroyed. Let us be the first to end their empire. Clash of Titans. The alien fleet met them above the planet. Hundreds of ships filled the void, black and glowing with deadly light. The Cathari commander stood on the bridge of the flagship, its voice cold. Erase them. The battle erupted. Alien beams tore through human lines. Ships exploded, scattering debris like falling stars. Pilots screamed, then fell silent. But humanity struck back. Pulse cannons overloaded enemy shields. EMP lances disabled. Massive cruisers. Missiles ripped through alien wings. The void became a storm of fire. The infiltration amid the chaos, a single human shuttle broke through enemy lines. Inside were Rachel Carter, a squad of soldiers, and the last weapon, an unstable energy core powerful enough to destroy the alien flagship. Alien fire shredded the shuttle's wings, but it pushed forward. Flames lit its hull as it dove toward the flagship's hangar bay. With a thunderous crash, it skidded across the alien floor. Soldiers poured out, rifles blazing. The final infiltration had begun. Inside the flagship, the corridors of the alien vessel pulsed with blue light, alive with strange energy. Alien troops surged forward, their armored forms towering over the humans. Bullets and beams filled the halls. The humans fought with savage desperation, using every trick learned from months of war. They aimed at breathing tubes, set traps with explosives, and dragged wounded comrades while firing blindly. Step by bloody step, they forced their way deeper into the ship, toward the core. The duel at last, they reached the central chamber. The alien core burned at the heart of the flagship, glowing like a captured star. But waiting for them was the commander itself. The creature was larger than the others, its armor thicker, its black eyes filled with fury. "You are stubborn animals," it hissed, "but this ends now." The battle that followed was brutal. Soldiers fired, but the commander moved with terrifying speed. It struck down men with claws, crushed rifles in its grip. One by one, the humans fell. Finally, only Rachel stood, holding the weapon core. Her hands shook, but her eyes did not. The alien commander advanced. "You think one fragile life can change your fate?" Rachel's voice was steady. "No, but one sacrifice can." She slammed the core into the reactor. The end of the flagship light consumed the chamber. The energy ripped through the walls, tearing the flagship apart from the inside. Explosions echoed through the void. The mighty vessel, the brain of the alien fleet, began to collapse. From outside, humanity's fleet watched as the alien flagship cracked like an egg. A storm of fire erupted, scattering enemy ships in every direction. Without orders, without control, the alien fleet fell into chaos. Some fled. Others drifted powerless. Humanity pressed the attack, finishing what remained. The impossible had happened. The Cathari were broken. Victory beyond fear. When the wreckage burned across the night sky, cheers rose from every corner of Earth. Survivors embraced. Soldiers wept. Children shouted the words that had carried them through the darkest days. "We do not kneel." For the first time in history, the Cathari had been defeated. Not by superior weapons, not by greater numbers, but by human defiance. By the refusal to surrender, even when death seemed certain. Rachel Carter's sacrifice was remembered not as tragedy, but as proof. Proof that courage could shatter empires, proof that humanity, fragile and small among the stars, could stand against giants. Epilogue. The war was not forgotten. Earth was scarred, cities ruined, oceans burned. But humanity survived. And survival was victory. Around campfires, in classrooms, in the ruins of broken streets, people told the story again and again. The day the Cathari came. The day they demanded surrender.